Hello everybody, Austin50 here, and today I want to talk about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Yes, I was actually really looking forward to this game, but I have to confess, I didn't actually know it was going to be an asymmetrical survival horror game. I actually didn't know that. I thought it was going to be like some kind of storyline game, because I didn't really look it up on Wikipedia or anything like that, so I had no idea actually what I was walking into when I actually saw the game. I thought it was going to be a game similar to Resident Evil Biohazard. I actually thought it was going to be along them lines, and I thought the game were just going to copy exactly off that, which would have been terrible, let's be honest. But no, it's actually an asymmetrical horror game, and it's like Dead by Daylight, but in my opinion, better. Yes, because Dead by Daylight, it came out in around 2016 and 2017, and it was a fantastic game, and they developed on that game, and it's reasonably balanced as Dead by Daylight. And they've got a lot of maps. There's a lot of horror themes in Dead by Daylight. But what the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre brings to the table is similar sort of game, but also completely different at the same time, if that makes sense. It's like comparing Dota 2 and League of Legends. They're the same kind of game, but at the same time, they're completely different. So, for example, with Dead by Daylight, you're running around, you've got to get, I think it's 4 generators online, then you can open the door and escape, unless you're the last person surviving. Then you can also find a trapdoor if the killer doesn't seal the trapdoor before you escape. Okay, and so yeah. So basically, with the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, there's 3 killers basically. It's like Dead by Daylight, but with 3 killers. And so far, there's only, I think, 2 maps, not including the lighter day setting. And every game has 4 survivors, or victims, as they call them in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. And they have 3 killers, which is obviously the Sawyer family. But every game has to have Leatherface in, which I don't know if that should be mandatory or not. I actually haven't thought of that yet, but it does make sense to have Leatherface in all the time. So basically, you start off in the basement as if you've just been hooked in Dead by Daylight. So you start the game off by unhooking yourself, get this, and you've got to be strategic with that. You've got to be strategic from the get-go, because if you unhook yourself too fast, you make noise, and it alerts the killer. And in this case, it's Leatherface, because Leatherface always starts off in the basement, or the lair, as they say. He always starts off there, whereas the other 2 killers, which apply to the Sawyer family, of course, start upstairs in one of the rooms, okay? So you're already at a disadvantage if you're a victim. You start off, Leatherface is already there. You can get destroyed as soon as the game starts. So Dead by Daylight doesn't have that. But the difference is, with Dead by Daylight, you get hit twice and you fall to the ground and you get picked up and hooked. In this case, you actually have legit health and you can be hit so many times and still survive. So as overwhelming as this game starts off, meaning the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it is balanced. It's actually fairly well balanced for a new game that's just come out. I mean, most games like this that first come out, they're so unbalanced, it's beyond belief. And then they kind of patch it up as the months go by. Not in this case, it seems balanced already. I mean, I've already played as the killer a few times, should I say the family, and I've played the victims a few times, and I'm terrible at both. That's only because I've only just started, I believe, but I intend to keep playing this game, because this is something I really want to get on the bandwagon with early, with everybody else, and there's so much great potential. So, for example, with the family, you can move, obviously Leatherface has to be in every game. You've got the hitchhiker from the film series. You've also got Drayton, who's the cook from the film series. You've also got 2 extra people, I think a guy called Johnny and some girl, I can't remember her name. They're not actually in the series, they're not actually in the film series. They just have to kind of build up characters, I guess. But also, sorry, something in my mouth. There's so much great potential for this game, because they could actually do a Dead by Daylight thing where they include more characters later on down the line anyway. So you've got like 5 or 6 survivors to pick from, victims, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, around 4 victims, 4 family to choose from, but 1 person has to be Leatherface. And also, just to mention while I'm on topic, everybody has their own set abilities. Like the family, like the cook, he's a bit slow and he doesn't do that much damage, but he can hear He can hear where people are, and he has like a cooldown. You've got the hitchhiker that can move like a victim, whereas the victims, they can go through crawl spaces, slide through gaps in walls, and do all sorts of things like that. The hitchhiker can do that. Leatherface is very limited, but he is extremely powerful, and he can like thrust his chainsaw into gaps, and he can also destroy obstacles, so no one can use them. But also with this game, which is very different to Dead by Daylight, and I'm only using the Dead by Daylight as an example just because it's the easiest one and most people will have played that game. There have been other games like the Friday the 13th game, which I believe the Friday the 13th game is the only reason they don't have Jason Voorhees in Dead by Daylight, but that's going off topic, I digress. So basically, in this game, there's so much more things to do in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. For example, Dead by Daylight, you get 4 generators online, you escape, end of story, and you unhook people that have been hooked. In this game, there's a lot more shit to do. For example, when you start the game, you're stuck in the basement. You're actually trapped in the basement, you can't get out. I don't even know how to get out of the basement just yet. I'm only like level 6. You need to find equipment, like tools, like lockpicks to unpick the door to even get onto surface level. Whereas obviously Leatherface can just do that straight away. So basically, you can... and you collect like bone scrap. It's actually like a proper survival horror. You collect scrap as you go, and like you can do all sorts of shit. For example, when you go upstairs, it's like a maze already. As soon as you get out of the basement, which is already like a maze and dark and eerie, you go upstairs and there's also like a maze to get out of the place. But there's so many things to do, like turn off generators, sneak through gates, go through crawl spaces. So many. I mean, it's hard to explain because there's so many different ways to actually escape, and there's so many things the killers actually have to do to stop you from doing that. Also, for the killers, for example, you can go around upstairs and you can open doors to see if you can find any victims, but at the same time, you have to be careful and relock the door behind you, or else they can get through it. So there's so many mistakes the killers can actually do if you're overwhelmed and chasing somebody. Like, for example, if you accidentally leave one door unlocked, a victim can get through that door and they could potentially escape. Whereas on the other hand, if you make sure to lock all the doors, you could actually lock a victim in a room and they're stuck. They'll have to make a lockpick tool if they can. Okay, so there's so many traps as well. Like you can turn on generators, like electric gates and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of endless, the possibilities at the minute. This game is really at the forefront of the asymmetrical survival horror games. This is actually the forefront now. It's right at the front. It's a fantastic game, and it's new on the Game Pass. And oh man, it's just blowing my mind. And it is actually legit terrifying, and it really is, because I'm the sort of person, right? I don't actually play that many horror games because they actually terrify me. They only terrify me because I'm in control. And because I'm the kind of gamer, I throw myself into the games. I love like a role-playing element. I kind of leave my own body and go into the game because that's just how I am as a gamer. And it's actually terrifying. Like, oh, yeah, it's behind me, it's behind me. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's really, 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 really good. For example, I was once playing The Evil Within. Terrified me. Gonna continue playing. But I can sit through a horror film series all day and I probably won't get that scared, to be fair. Yeah, so yeah, I'm really enjoying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I think everyone should give it a go. I mean, it's on the Xbox Game Pass. I mean, I don't know in America or anything like that, but I know in the UK, for the Platinum Pass, it's like £11 a month. It's so affordable. You know, it's like buying Netflix, but for gaming. And they always like take off old games, put new games on X, Y, and Z. But with games like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, it's they're probably always gonna... It's probably always going to be on the Game Pass. And they'll probably patch the game up. They'll have more skins for people. Like, they don't really have many like skins or cosmetics at the minute for the characters, but you've got to give the game a chance. It's literally only came out 2 days ago. But what they do have for Bubba, which is also Leatherface, they have his costume from, I think it's the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the third. And they've also got the one where he's in that shirt and tie, which was more of a, well, they called it a black comedy, where it's like a dark comedy horror, which was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where they took a weird approach to this film series. Then we kind of messed up. Still slightly scary, but kind of messed up. So yeah, so there is great potential. And another thing, which is this is kind of messed up. if anyone's seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, you'll know where Grandpa, yeah, the old man that's like, and then they want this is more Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where they give him a hammer and they're get him, Grandpa, and then they have to. Grandpa keeps missing with the hammer, and he can't actually get the kill, which he's supposed to do, even though he's the greatest of all of them with his prolonged health, and he's pretty much a buck-toothed old mummy. Anyway, he's in this game as well. It's pretty fucked up. So he's in this game, and if you're moving one of the family, you have to collect blood. You can collect blood around the maps, and then you have to feed Grandpa. So you pour the blood into his mouth, like all of you, and it improves his powers. So it's like powers of detection. So he does like area, what's the word? Not area damage, like area senses. So then you'll come up if you're a victim when the family have fed him blood. Grandpa levels up, and it's like when you're victim, no, slow down, stop. Grandpa can hear you or something like that, so you can't move, because as soon as you move, then the killers are alerted to where you are. Like, because Grandpa, he's the greatest of all killers, and he's got like superhuman senses, plus he's like prolonged lifespan. But if you're a victim, you can like sneak up behind Grandpa and stab him, which takes him down like a level or something like that, which is kind of funny as well. And he just like makes like noise, and it's pretty messed up. Also, the game, it also has when you have like a heartbeat for the victims as well. So when you're like running around and then the killers are close, your screen starts to like go tunnel vision and your heartbeat starts racing, and you're like, oh my god, I'm about to get killed. I don't want to get killed. But anyway, no, this game is super fun, and you know, there's so much potential. They get patched this up, they can do whatever they want with it. I believe, I was guessing, they'll probably do what they did in Dead by Daylight, probably release some more characters. I don't know how many characters they can legit release, you know, because it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's not Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight kind of had. It tries to go for nearly every single killer from horror film / game genres. Not pun intended with the slash. And also like victims, survivors from horror games and horror like films. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you've got to give them a break. They are kind of technically limited, especially for maps. But for now, the game's fantastic. If the game actually went to shit and it was absolutely terrible in 6 months' time, then you know me, people. Awesome50, I'll give you a direct review and I'll tell you exactly what I think's gone wrong with the game, even though my opinion pretty much means nothing. But yeah, so I'm going to go and have a few more games now, and you know, just try and get stuck into it, try and get better at the game. But again, it's learning the map as well. It's difficult to learn these kind of maps because this map is huge. It's not like Dead by Daylight where you run around like a field or something and there's a few huts or some architecture or something like that. This is legit like mazes in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, but it is learnable. I can learn the dynamics of the map. This is very doable. Yeah, that will be the downfall, because there will come a time where you'll memorize the map, and then it's not really a maze anymore. Once you know how to escape, then you're pretty much winning. If they did, which I'm glad they don't, if they did have like a practice where you could actually run around the map by yourself and figure out where everything were, that would actually ruin the game, so I'm glad they haven't gone down that route. But still, this is a really good game. It's showing so much potential. For now, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I didn't even know it with this kind of game. And on top of that, it works, and the graphics are superb as well. I haven't seen a single bit of lag at all yet. I don't know, lag is really due to internet, but I mean, there's no bugs, there's nothing. It just plays really well, and it plays really smoothly. I mean, I'm playing on the Xbox Series X, and my internet's not the best, but I haven't had a single bit of lag. You know, so yeah. But again, the only thing I do think I haven't made my mind up on is every match has to have Leatherface in. Okay, which is okay, but like, does that have to be necessary? Really? Could we not just have, instead of you must be Leatherface, can we not just have like a team leader kind of thing, like a match leader or family leader, where they start off in the basement instead of Leatherface? Because you might not want to play Leatherface. You just might not want to. He's big and he's clunky. He can't get through gaps, but he is extremely powerful, and you know, he's scary. I know it's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I know he should be in it, but Leatherface is the main character in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, but there are other killers as well, so we do kind of... I don't think it should be necessary that Leatherface has to be in it. In a match, I mean. Obviously, he has to be in the game, but in per match, because what happens if you don't want to play him? One of you is forced to play him. And get this, if no one plays him, the match does not begin, so you have to be him. I think they will probably patch that up in the future. But for now, it's a good game. I'm going to shoot off now and get some more games in. So also 50 out, and thank you all for watching, if any of you do actually watch.